Welcome back to the big issue, and welcome as well to those of you who are watching us on television. And keep the messages coming. I've received quite a few discussing the infrastructural debate and also on what is happening in Cape Coast. For those of you who also want to send in messages, 0549 986 996, 0549 986 996, or 0550 585832. Also streaming live on Facebook, on our Facebook pages, City TV and at City 97.3. And I'm having a conversation with the Honorable Nusaf Hussein, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Honorable Andre Japamesa, MP for D constituency, and Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. And Franklin, you were making a point. Please continue on what you thought about this sudden interest in an infrastructural debate from the MPP side.
Well, as I was saying, I mean, the informal, analysis would have been that the optics of it showed that they were chasing after the NDC. But look, at the end of the day, every government decides at its own choosing when it wants to account to.
Okay, so a bit of an internet hitch with Franklin on the Zoom line. We'll get back to him when that is fixed. So let me come back in studio then. And Honorable Nusaf Hussein, in his opening statements, has debunked some of the assertions that had been made with regards to numbers. And he says he will go into details. He will give us parliamentary documents on some of the things that the NPP is claiming. And he says he's ready. Let's do 4 years on 4 years. Let's do Mahama 4 years. Let us do Akufo-Addo 4 years.
I'm happy to do 4 years Mahama, 4 years Akufo-Addo. But in doing so, I would only hope that they are candid and honest and not include 4 years of President Mills as part of the conversation. Because that is what all the issues that they've raised border on. When it suits them, compare Mahama and Akufo-Addo. Then they make pronouncements on projects that clearly started in the Mills era. Which then when you draw their attention to, then they tell you that, well, former President Mahama was vice president at the time. So at all times, they would be hitching on an 8-year record against a 3.5. And you heard him. The kinds of things that he mentioned, the cost of the facilities that they've contracted and what it is that the MPP has done. And of course, he fell in the same trap that I accused them earlier of. That if you suggest that a government has borrowed 168 million and there's nothing to show for, obviously, you sit in Parliament and you know as a matter of fact that every single loan that has been contracted is directed at specific projects. For instance, you've approved a loan for the reconstruction of the Shama and La General Hospital. Okay? Work has commenced. The facilities have been drawn down. But the projects are not complete. You account for it in the 168. You approved the abandoned 40-year-old maternity block at KNUST. Huge project. It is part of the 168. But the project is not complete. You talk of the Urology and Nephrology Center at KNU Kolebu, part of the debt, but the projects are not complete. So how do you then turn around? And there are several, Bekwai Hospital, water systems, educational infrastructure, including universities. You know, as a matter of fact, that many of these projects are not complete. Just like when you started UGMC during your first term, that wasn't complete until your second term, that you claim credit for the second term president. So how do you do the analysis?
But isn't that a problem for our governments to solve, in the sense that one way or the other, somebody will start something, somebody will complete. It is the nature of our politics.
I agree.
Share credits then.
The military hospital in Afari that you mentioned was started by President Kufuor. as part of the Eurojet project. It's a matter of fact.
No, it was not started.
It is. I have the list here.
No, it was not started.
Please. Senior.
It was not started, but it was part of his plan.
Part of his plan.
Yes, so here we are. So here we are. Why not agree to share the credit?
We share. We don't share.
These Eurojet projects, Ashanti Regional Hospital, Sewua, Upper West Regional Hospital,
yes,
district hospitals at Kwabenya, Chofopraso, Konongo, Dumasi, Nkoko, Tepa, Salaga, Boga Regional Hospital, military hospital at Afari, police hospital expansion. All these were commenced by President
Kufuor. They were not commenced. They were not commenced.
Please.
No.
Hold on. That's what I'm saying. That we must agree on this.
Many of which you abandoned over the 8-year period. You never completed them until this government comes and has completed the Upper West Regional Hospital at Wa. Okay? And the Kwabenya one, the Chofopraso and others at various stages of completion. So you can argue that government has contracted 168 million, and it will be fair to say that yes, these projects are not complete and at various stages of completion. And can further argue that maybe when you had opportunity to be in government, you finished some of your projects within 4 years. I don't have a problem. But the fact on the ground really is to the effect that many of the projects that President Mills started, and I listed some here, you completed them during the Mr. Mahama era, second term, and is claiming credit as those facilities being achievements of President Mahama. So what happens to the legacy of Professor Mills? Completely consumed purely on account of you wanting to do politics, and to suggest that Mr. Mahama in his 4 years achieved more than every other government in history. It's not factual. It's not. Okay? And so let us not do the kinds of things that we do and accuse or make comments that clearly are unfounded, that somebody has borrowed without showing anything for it. When you know that unless you can establish that these funds are diverted, project-specific loans are directed at those projects. And those projects are taking place as we speak.
But the point that he is making is that, well, they took 54 billion and spent a certain amount of it on infrastructure that is tangible. You've taken 160 billion, spent even less of that 160 billion on infrastructure, and are still touting infrastructure as a major achievement.
You see, if you look at the facts, it doesn't support the assertion that he makes.
Well, we'll get him to us.
Because there are several streams of income that comes to the state. Okay? Loans that are contracted for specific projects are used for those projects alone. You cannot divert them for other purposes. Unless, of course, maybe when they were in government, there were a few instances of funds that were contracted, particularly for the Pualugu Dam that they diverted into the Eastern Corridor routes. Okay? Because at the time, they were of the view that some feasibility had not been completed and that they couldn't wait for the feasibility to be done before they applied the funds. So they diverted it into the Eastern Corridor. Okay? Unless, of course, they can demonstrate that this government has done the same. But there's no proof to that effect. So I'm saying that you cannot say in one breath that government has borrowed when these funds are directed at specific projects and say that there's nothing to show for it, when you cannot also prove that those funds have been diverted. They go to those projects, and I've listed some here, okay, that are at various stages of completion. Okay, now, you see, what the Vice President sought to do was to deal specifically with the projects that this government has commenced from all revenue sources, including loans, and indicated that, look, these are small community problems and projects that government has done, some of which are complete, some incomplete. These are major projects that this government is doing, some complete, some not complete. And that clearly, all the things that the NDC is saying that the MPP over the past 3.5 years have gotten so much revenue with nothing to show for, cannot be supported with the work that we have done on the ground, as per the website that was created, highlighting all the infrastructure in the region of some 17,334 that this government have done.
But I'm looking at, for instance, health. Some of the projects are crossover projects, are they not? So
Which is?
The ongoing construction of district hospital in Fomena, that transcends the government. It comes from
Yes, but of course,
back.
when you go into the detail, okay, the summary,
district hospital.
The summary
Same.
you will find. But when you go into the detail, it indicates clearly projects that were inherited and projects that we have commenced and the status of all. Because the commitment of this government to the people of Ghana is that, look, to the extent that these projects, resources of this country were used to commence them, there's no way that they will be abandoned.
Okay.
Of course, there's been some delay because of some investigations that are taking place relative to Saglame and those other places that you can make reference to that the projects have not been completed. Okay, but by and large, and I have a list of all the health infrastructure that the NDC started, okay, that this government is continuing. And the facilities that they abandoned that had been started by President Kufuor, that is also being continued, plus new projects that this government is doing. It's all been accounted for in the document that was put out last 2 or 3 days ago.
I'm interested also in the water and sanitation infrastructure summary, because that seems to be where a lot of projects have been done. 5,505 in total, boreholes with hand pumps. And
that's right. You live in a city, and so you have the luxury of flowing pipe-borne water. During the break, I saw a clip that you showed on your screen. Human beings sharing water with animals. That is the reality of the situation of some of our compatriots. And so I was particularly sad when I saw on social media the NDC, some members of the NDC, rubbishing some of the things that clearly impact many of our compatriots on the ground. It's sad. People don't care about Circle interchange. They don't care about Obechebi interchange because they've never been to Accra. They need basic water. They need basic toilet facilities. People go to the bush, get bitten by snakes. At night, they cannot. You have the luxury of water closets. So, projects of this nature that go to support the underprivileged, our compatriots who are in need. If you think you sit in Accra and rubbish it because you drive in Land Cruisers, well, you can state that position. But we, as a government, believe in inclusive growth. We think that is important. Hence, the establishment of the IPEP, Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication, that we need to go down to the communities where their needs are not what Accra or people in Accra, Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi need, but rather resolve those little problems in those communities so that we can bring all our people out of poverty. And that's exactly what it is that we showcased. But loans that are contracted for major signature projects that go to Parliament for him and I to consider and approve are there. If you look in the document, you see major projects that are commencing, including the dualization of my road from Parkgrounds roundabout through Efian Quantum Hospital through to Adiambra Road to RCC in Sekondi. The water expansion project that is going to happen in the Western region. The Takoradi Market Redevelopment Project that has commenced with phase 1 of Market Circle. I can speak to my constituency. Okay? These are matters of fact. Okay? The people of Injamogokem who have to cross the street and go and use the seashore would appreciate a 12-seater toilet that government is putting up for them. So you can sit in Accra and poo-poo it. But we know the value of what it is that the beneficiary communities, okay, are deriving from these kinds of projects that you choose to laugh over.
Well, I doubt they are choosing to laugh.
But of course, unless of course you are not following social media.
Well, I don't give too much credit.
But you should. You've heard their national communications officer
Godfred.
Summit Yesi and Co.
Well, they haven't said it on my platform.
Well,
so.
of course, your platform is not the only platform in this country.
I know.
There are several platforms that we all listen to.
That's why I haven't heard them. Let me go.
So it's important that you put the issues in proper perspective so we all can appreciate where we are.
Okay.
Godfred, are we rubbishing some of the things in their town hall meeting? Some of the things that are we rubbishing it?
Well, the NDC has we've had different persons
they don't belong there.
Speak about it. Why don't they belong there?
I'll give you an example. He was citing his constituency. In my constituency, I built 4 toilets, 4 20-seater toilets as member of parliament for the Tamil Central constituency. 4. They never made it to the regional list. The regional list of
Did
projects.
they put it in the green book?
They didn't even get to the regional list, let alone to the green book. 4. Look, there's an area called Dohanaile. During the time of Kufuor, I then in opposition, a member of the tender committee of GetFund. I lobbied GetFund to build a day nursery, modern day nursery. It didn't make it to the green book. It didn't make it to the regional list. Mahatalia, 3 classroom block. Queen Elizabeth, store building. Store building. The middle school was changed into a store building. And a dentistry was added. It never made it. Look,
your choice, not ours.
No. Well,
your choice. You choose to present what it is that you've done to
I mean, if you say
because
in a manner that listen. If you say we are rubbishing it, if you say we are rubbishing it,
I've read comments on social media.
You say no. I'm not. This is not social media platform.
Executives of your party.
I will encourage you to desist from referring to social media. That's what somebody did and brought social media to parliament.
You go.
No. I will encourage you to desist from.
Make your point.
Now, you see, those projects, I'm sure, I don't know of Secondary, but member of parliament for Secondary might also have lobbied some parastatals to do projects there. Because that is your mandate.
Absolutely.
To service the people. So when those mundane, ordinary projects, which are done for the purposes of relieving the pain and suffering of the people, then you organize a platform with the taxpayers' money to showcase those projects. That is why nobody's saying that they are not important. Krupul School, since it was built by the Christian missionaries, had never had 1 classroom block. I added a classroom, 6 classroom blocks, and turned the school into a GSS. But I never made it. Do I say that? I mean, building a GSS or 6 classroom block is unnecessary?
Not to interject, but Godfred,
I'm listening.
Is it the case that the Vice President listed all 17,334?
I said that if we are going to list. No,
he just gave a speech, highlighted key interventions, and then directed the people of Ghana to go and look at what the key interventions.
I'm talking about key interventions of the Vice President. I'm not talking about anything else. The Vice President said building toilets is key intervention.
Is it not?
Well, that's what the Vice President said.
Yes, it is.
That's what I'm saying. That it is. So the MPP thinks that when you build a sensitive toilet, it's a key intervention.
Okay.
And you have just confirmed it. And I'm saying that it's mundane.
Why?
Because that is your basic requirement. That's your basic responsibility. Now, if the government can say those are its key requirements, what will the district assembly say? What will the assemblymen even say? Your key requirement, well, God save us. I did 2 water systems through the intervention of Sahara. There are no key interventions. Now, but all in all, even the list,
circle interchange is, right?
Even the list that you presented, you said you had built 120 low-cost houses in Talensi. People have gone to fact check. There's nothing there. In fact, you've even appropriated a project done by Rotary International, or what is it?
The Rotary Club.
Rotary Club. It's your key intervention.
I haven't seen any.
But you have in Cape Coast, in the central region or western region.
If you look at Ghana's data on open defecation.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about open defecation. Everybody's fighting.
If a government puts up 5,000 plus
toilets,
facilities to deal with this. It is not a bad problem.
I'm not saying it's a bad problem. And so that's a key intervention.
But don't mention it.
No, that's a key intervention.
According to them.
No. That's a key.
They didn't put up 1, 2, 3.
No, that's a key.
We are talking about thousands.
That's a key intervention.
It should be key.
Well, by the standards of MPP, they are keys.
No, these are global standards.
No, they are not global standards.
They are global standards.
No. Which global standards? Give me a global standard.
The open defecation.
You know, in the Upper East region, Upper East region, Northern region, and Upper West region, as previously constituted, how many toilets were built to deal with open defecation?
Yes. And you've been doing very well in the district
so
it's
even sanitation, the improvement in sanitation, the records.
Yes, Nanton, for instance, and other places have been doing really well.
They were not key interventions.
They were key.
So, but
if they were not key, they were not be measured.
Were they not the functions of government? Were they not the functions? Did we have to tout it as a key intervention?
Why not?
Well, so we didn't think that we needed to touch because we were just servicing the people.
That was an option.
You understand? So you know, there's a Western region or Central region have come out to say that they said they had built 500 units and provided 1,800 jobs. Mm-hmm. So is Elenble, who are demanding an apology from the president. In their town hall meeting, they had said that they had established an oil palm factory over there. Nothing to show. Nothing is there like that. Now, so if you mix deceit, calumny, and lies into what you call your key achievements, the people are going to expose you. Clearly, they are going to expose you. And that is what we have seen. Look, in their haste to talk about key, and I'm surprised. He talks about the dualization of the Tekrade Road. Mm-hmm. When did it start? So that's an achievement of this government. In one vein, he said that we shouldn't approbate and reprobate. And he's doing exactly that. Exactly that. You understand? Mm-hmm. The PTC, Tekrade PTC and the Sana Hydro, when did it start? When was the design made? When was even thermal interchange that they claim, when was the design made? When did it start?
Started under Mr. Mahama?
I, as minister, did the design. And we call it Rivoli interchange. Go back and look at my.
And you are certain it is the same?
It's the same thing.
That's being
the same. There's no change. I call it Rivoli interchange. Go and look at my November 2016 Meet the Press. Mm. In fact, 35 million that the original EPC was the amount of money we were taking from Exim Bank. That was the cost of the project. But the Exim Bank facility was a commercial facility, and then we were under IMF conditionalities. That's why we couldn't take it. The same thing. It takes more than 2 years to conceive, design, and execute a project. A major project like the interchange. Now you talk about policy failure and we ran to the IMF. Just recently, the minister came to Parliament to tell us that the COVID-19 had exposed the vulnerabilities in the economy.
Yeah.
In fact, he even added that COVID-19 had challenged the basic assumptions in his budget.
Yes.
So he ran to the World Bank, he ran to development partners and got $100 million. Yeah. He didn't stop there. He extended his long arm into the stabilization fund and took $275 million. Mm-hmm. He didn't stop there. He went back. We were looking for policy credibility. We took cumulatively about $900 million for that duration. $900 million from the World Bank. He went back in one fell swoop and took $1 billion from the World Bank. He didn't stop there. He ran to the Central Bank of Ghana and took 10 billion Ghana cedis. Mm-hmm. Now, all this expenditure were out of budget and expenditure.
That's not true.
Oh, which one? Tell me which one was budget.
No.
You mean that you anticipated COVID and then you budgeted for them?
No. The 1 billion from the IMF wasn't expenditure.
What?
It was relief that was.
Yes, relief. Because
hold on.
What relief?
Please.
What relief was that?
Listen.
It was a rapid relief because you have demonstrated that you were losing a lot of revenue by COVID-19.
Yes.
So what
was
was
a global problem? Was it not?
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I said that he came to Parliament. He said it was not, but it was an expenditure.
Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't.
Well, what did you say?
I said it wasn't an expenditure. You said it was budgeted expenditure. I said no.
What was it?
Let's do.
No, what? No, please. Wait. What was it?
It was to shore up the revenue that was not coming in because of COVID. And to enable us meet the expenditures that we had programmed.
So if you show up expenditure, it's not for expenditure.
You show up revenue.
If you show
because
up
revenue, you're not getting revenue.
Please. If you show up
all your receipts were impacted.
If you show up revenue, it's not expenditure.
How is showing up revenue expenditure
from MPP?
Okay.
Because if you have made a budget and you have shown your income and expenditure,
you have 2 minutes to
and your income is falling by reason of COVID, and you go for 1 billion, it's not expenditure. What is it?
It's revenue.
For what?
To meet the expenditure. But you need the revenue to meet the expenditure.
We'll take a quick break. The big issue. We'll be right back.
Whoa. What's going on, babe?
Have you heard of Wheel of Fortune?
No, what's that?
Register on betplanet.com.gh. Select Wheel of Fortune and win a prize.
What? Wait, I'm just gonna win a prize because I'm new?
Yes, but to win a prize, you only deposit 10 Ghana cedi.
Before I win, I have to pay?
Really? So you're comparing 10 Ghana cedi to an iPhone, an iPad, 25,000 Ghana cedi. Utimi a drink, Papa.
Okay.
Okay, then split. Babe, we are rich.
Welcome back to the big issue. I'll be taking a couple of messages and apologies. We will hear from Franklin. We are having a bit of a technical issue there, but that situation has been resolved. And also, don't forget, we are checking in every once in a while with our colleagues in Cape Coast, because once the big issue ends, we will be there full blast to give you all the speeches from the various personalities as the MPP launches its election 2020 manifesto. I think we've heard parts of what they will say from Tuesday, but we'll see what else it contains. And Duke Menso Opoku is in the central region with Nathan Kwan and the rest of the team to give us that particular update. If we are ready, we'll go back to Duke and catch up with them. But just before that, Franklin.
I'm here.
Oh, Franklin, apologies and thank you for the patience. Technology has not been our friend today.
No, I have unlimited patience. Thank you.
Yes. So now you can put all your points together.
Well, first of all, I think the season calls for these kinds of enlightened tango, the one that we are experiencing right in the studio. And I think this is friendly. But I think that these are serious matters of state and serious matters of development. I think at the heart of the matter is essentially not trumpeting what one may have done better or not, but essentially how they actually got around doing it, and then how they got around doing it, and what resources they are deployed to do that. I think it's crucial, and what impact these interventions ultimately had on the people. It is very crucial. I mean, one of my disappointments is that Imani does not have the extensive resources to conduct an impact assessment of the manifesto promises. So what we do is just an output assessment. But we try. I mean, sometimes when you read the manifesto, the output assessment, you tend to see references to policy, which tells you, for instance, that if the MPP had promised a double-digit GDP rate before the pandemic, They were not going to attain any of them, even though they had attained a creditable, GDP. And they were good. They were on their way to almost attaining the 7.2% GDP. That is impressive. You would have seen, for instance, that the whole idea of boosting the private sector, for which they made certain promises, right? Like relaxing the taxation rules and indeed trying to shore up the fortunes of either to, bankrupt companies or factories, or either to trying to sanitize the banking environment. All of that do matter. But then when I juxtapose that against our performance of the Doing Business Index report, when I see that from 2016, when we were at 112 or so, and then in 2017, we jumped to 120, and then we came down to 114, and in 2019 and 2020, we are making 118 on the Doing Business Index. I don't see the connection between these interventions and then the activation of the productive sector to encourage, the blossoming, the human flourishing that we want. So I'd like to see, for instance, going forward, what exactly the NPP would have meant by moving away from taxation to production. I'd like to see it in concrete terms. I think there are patterns you see and read from Baumia's presentations most of the time when it latches onto the whole construct on digitization, which is very useful. I think the digitization agenda is a useful one. Unfortunately, there's been some rather sluggish movement towards actualizing all the full gains, particularly because the Ministry of Communications has been one of the corporates that is slowing the process down by its rather difficult licensing regimes. So it's making it difficult for the private sector to take up, for instance, spectrum licensing and then utilize the fiber optic opportunities we have in the country to have aided the NPP's own promise in their manifesto that they would ensure that many of these SHS schools will be connected to a Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, that has not happened, only because the private sector has not been encouraged in order to take up the opportunities that exist. Whereas our peers in Kenya and East Africa, and my good friend Godfred, you know this, you were an editor in East Africa. You saw what East Africa could do with boundless digitization and efforts within the internet space. A pale shadow of that. And I think that if a manifesto that is going to launch us into another trajectory is not anchored on the private sector optimization opportunities, and then actually going ahead to ensure that it is done with less suspicion, we'll be running in circles. I want to see our performance on the Doing Business Index come down drastically, because the object of those governments, which we all supported, is to ensure that Ghana becomes the preferred destination for investment and for trade. It is instructive that the government already has chalked the success of hosting ACTA here. But I think it behoves on us to ensure that we do well on starting the business, enforcing contract, resolving insolvency, payment of taxes, trading across borders, dealing with permits and property registration, because these are the things that actually make it very difficult or otherwise to start a business. I was mortified in, I think, last 2 years when I found out that Somalia beat us to it when it comes to enforcing contracts. And I joked with my team that Somalia could only trump Ghana because they enforce contracts with guns. Now, because clearly speaking, to think that God-forsaken country like Somalia, I know there are people who worship God there, but to think that that country would have done better than Ghana when it came to enforcing contract was sad. And it speaks to the issue about the land cases. And Honorable Husseini will tell you that when he was land minister, I'm sure he came face to face with the hydra-headed problem of Ghana's development, which all sit on land cases in our courts. Even when you've gotten judgment, it's so difficult to enforce. 60% of our cases in the court are all land related. You can never progress as a country when you do not have a proper land reform agenda. There's no way you're going to do it. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we met with the officers, senior officers, and secretaries of the Lands Commission, and we did pour our hearts out. You know, I trained in the way as a land economist.
Yeah.
And I know the problems. They know the problems. I think that government knows the problem. In fact, when we met Baumia a couple of days ago on Wednesday, we did talk about that. And he seems to be on top of the issues. I think that we need to start looking at the resource, the eggs that will lay the chickens that will lay the hens that will lay the golden eggs. The way to grow the country is not in sloganeering. One this, one that, one this, one that. In fact, now we have a festival of freebies because for all you know, the NDC is waiting and has been waiting in the saddle to start promising things. In fact, they are actually now begging for forgiveness for things they had done right when they decided not to pay the teacher allowances, for instance. I mean, I thought that was Mohammed's, one of the trump cards for Mahama, who said in 2016, if paying teacher allowances will take me into opposition, then so be it. Now, you see, he's abandoned that ship because he can't just make any sense out of the freebies that are likely to be unleashed or not. So he needs to take cover and start begging for forgiveness that, okay, no, when I come, I'll pay teacher allowance. The question really, all of them, whether $10 billion infrastructure fund, Agenda 88 hospital, plus another 11, plus the sorts that my good friend, the president, is capping all across the place like confetti. If he's doing all of these things, I think the crucial question would have been, what exactly is the resource envelope? What's the fiscal space? And that is the reason that for Imani undertaking the manifesto, because we keep asking questions. We know countries could not be run like corporate entities, but at least, you know, since we started this manifesto enterprise, we've seen a very good climbing down from very high octane spin promises. For instance, in 2008, somebody promised to generate electricity by suspending permanent magnets into the atmosphere. You know, another person said his agriculture policy would thrive on growing a lot of donkeys in the northern part of Ghana so that their dung will be used in fertilizing agriculture. I mean, we've done well. At least some debates have caused the NDC and the MPP to do some costing, to do some quantitative analysis of their promises. But we beg, because we now say you should quantify things, please stop building castles in the air. Because what it means is that at the end of the day, you come into office or you stay in office and realize that, oh, time is up. I'm not able to do one district, one factory all over the place. Or maybe I need to pivot the one district, one factory agenda to helping struggling industries. If I had the president not long ago, I think yesterday, on Cape Coast FM, I think, and the lady interviewer is a great interviewer. I mean, she did a lot of great, I thoroughly liked the interview. You know, I think he asked the president, about Commander Sugar Factory. Don't forget, we advised the NDC that we needed not less than $90 million to start Commander. And you needed 1,000 hectares of a land area to grow sugarcane. Well, they didn't mind. They said it was ready. Spent $5 million, and then within a month, the whole thing came crumbling down. Come in the NPP. The president said, well, they were going to revive Commander. In fact, the trade minister, Lanchairman, was heartbeat that will revive it and shame our opponents. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen because, again, you need to go back to the drawing table, which the president said yesterday in an interview, that we need to go back to the drawing table. Then I asked myself, who advised the president to say, I'm going to revive Commander, and then boldly claim to the people of Commander that you get the sugar factory back, when the economics of it has not been done? One of the things I cringe about in this town is that we also tend to externalize most of our solutions. And here I'm putting my good friend Ken on the spot. I know that it is good to seek ideas from elsewhere. But, you know, there are a lot of ideas in this town. And I think if we sat together and, you know, thought a lot of things through, we could make a significant headway. It is not rocket science to grow this country's economy. If there'll be patience, at least from the electorate. But that patience can only be guaranteed when you stop sloganeering your way into office. Because when you do that, you're actually telling people that the money is there. We know how to get the money. So I think that I want to see the NPP's manifesto. I know I'm dovetailing into the next conversation.
Yeah.
The point really is that, look, it is time. It was time yesterday. It's not this whole debate and fight over toilets and fight over infrastructure, unfortunately, is unnerving. Look, we think infrastructure is important, but when you look at the manifesto scale, which is in keeping with modern economic development analysis, the OECD, for instance, suggests that the economy and governance of any country are the two critical factors that matter. And indeed, infrastructure matters. But when we were weighting when we were applying the various weights, we gave economy 25%, governance 25%, infrastructure 20%. We do realize its impact. But you see, it's about time that the infrastructure debate moved from Minamiye, I did it, to how can I partner, the corporate world to be able to do it, to maintain, first of all, sustain the infrastructure, and then secondly, make sure that government is not bleeding too much money, borrowing, and then not maintaining the infrastructure. And so I see that there are a lot of synergies between the two parties in terms of what they want to do for us. Unfortunately, they have become like the proverbial governments that my good friend Larry Reid talks about. That any government that promises you everything you want is big enough to promise you. Any government that is big enough to promise you anything you want is big enough to take back everything you want. You may be paying back in one way or the other. All these debts that are being attracted, which has now become a debt iceberg, you pay in one way or the other. So, let's enjoy the freebies while they last, but let's also let's come to the table and I'm enjoying the freebie. I mean, my electricity, I've seen the growth, and I'm saying to myself, oh yeah, I mean, I know that we are not paying realistic economic rate for electricity, but here am I. How can I do? I was part of a bracket. They say enjoy. Can I go and tell the state that cut me out? I'll enjoy it, but I'll be the same person coming back to you to tell you, my friend, until you start paying utility realistic rate, productivity will never grow in this country, because that's the only way you can do take and pay, whatever pay. At the end of the day, if you do not focus on the very fine details of, shoring up productivity through relaxing, should I call it, some of these freebies that we enjoy, it will be a problem. And that leads me to the first 2 points I'll make. One on the PURC.
Okay.
I want to be able to see that the two manifestos.
Oh, then Franklin, wait. Franklin, you are going too far. You're already doing
that. No, there's a reason.
No.
There's a reason I'm saying this.
No, but then we will get to the manifesto conversation.
Okay, well, fine. But then let me just end on this note and say that on paper, in terms of managing the economy, our manifesto assessment is showing that as of 2015, when the NDC had been assessed, its 2012 manifesto had been assessed, the economy was in ICU. In fact, they had managed only 36.something% by 2015. When we assessed the NPP in 2019, the economy was 54%. Not entirely in ICU, but people were not having the reflection that they wanted in their pocket, which tells you that we are still up in the skies. We need to do a lot more, and macroeconomic numbers alone do not matter, but the real economy matters. I'll yield my time to the next conversation.
Thank you very much, Franklin Cudjoe. Let me just take a couple of messages and then we can move into the next part of the conversation. I'll give closing remarks on this particular topic to Honorable Inusa and Honorable Mesa, and then we will move to debate and then the NPP manifesto. A couple of messages that have come through. Good morning, Mr. Akoto. Let's not help the NPP to tout mediocrity. Ghana is seen as an advanced country in West Africa. We do not like to see documentaries made by Western media houses that show us as poor. We can't agree with that. and allow a government to display toilets and urinals as an achievement. Ghana is better than that. Is the NDC saying they didn't inherit any project and funding from the Kufuor administration? This is incredible, says Yao in Achimota. Babamu for Abuabo says the infrastructure development of this government is far better than the NDC's first term in government. The candidate Mahama has forgotten he wants to organize the building of infrastructure and praising yourself amounts to mediocrity. So what debate is he calling for? Godfred, the Kasua Yanyano Road is not under construction, contrary to what Baumia said. We, the people of Gomoa East, are not happy with this particular one from Maunyo Kumashi in Nyanyano. So keep the messages coming, 0549 986 996 and then 0550585832. We will enter the final phase of our conversation, but again, we'll do another check on what's happening in the central region, and then we will continue our conversation with Honorable Dunus Afuseni and Andrew Ejapa, Best Member of Parliament for 2nd D constituency.
TV, and we are giving you the live coverage of the launch of the MPP's Election 2020 Manifesto, the document that they will be presented to Ghanaians to get their mandate again for the next 4 years. My name is Nathan Kwao, and we are in Cape Coast at the University of Cape Coast. We are on the campus. Behind me is where the event will be happening. My colleague, Duke Mensah Opoku, is in there. Let's cross over to him to get a feel of how things are panning out in there as the MPP prepares to launch its 2020 election campaign manifesto.
Your Excellencies and gentlemen, today we have gathered here once again to launch another well thought through and transformational manifesto that will guide the MPP in the management of our country for the next 4 years. Your Excellencies, at our 2016 manifesto launch, His Excellency, the President, then the flag bearer of MPP, made a profound statement about the importance of manifesto. He said, a manifesto represents for me a solemn social contract between the electorate and the elected. The manifesto should also help the electorate to distinguish between the various political parties, because the plans and programs they set out will be influenced by ideologies and beliefs. He concluded that we of MPP have always taken manifestos seriously because we believe politics is a serious business and action for mandate of the people to govern is a serious business. Indeed, the performance of MPP government since assuming office and taking charge of our beloved country provides abundant evidence that we take our manifesto seriously. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, from education, health, agriculture, job creation to infrastructure development, the MPP government under President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has transformed every aspect of the economy. Your Excellencies, it is our hope and prayer that having delivered our promises to the good people of Ghana, they will, on December 7th, re-elect the MPP and His Excellency President Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to continue the transformation of our beloved country. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we in the Central Region are very happy to have been chosen as host for the launch of the 2020 Manifesto. The Central Region has always played a significant role for the MPP right from the beginning of the party politics, back in the days of UGCC, and more particularly in recent times during the Fourth Republic. Your Excellencies, our performance in Central Region has grown consistently, and every time the party has won the elections, the Central Region has been at the heart of action. Indeed, in the 2016 election, the MPP won 19 out of 23 constituencies in Central Region. It is therefore most welcome decision to launch our manifesto for the next 4 years in this beautiful city of Cape Coast, the capital of Central Region. We are confident and fully assured that the great elephant family will proceed from here with one vision and purpose: to work tirelessly to retain power. And I assure you all that the Central Region will lead the way. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Regional Chairman. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This is the launch of the new Patriotic Party Manifesto. Leadership in service. Put your hands together once again. This program is beamed live across the world, and especially on all radio stations across the country, all TV stations across the country, live on New Patriotic Party's Facebook page, and Zoom with all the numbers giving out already to all diplomatic missions, all groupings, institutions, associations across this country. Mr. President, a few acknowledgements. Ladies and gentlemen, the national chairman of the party is here with us. Let's applaud him. Put your hands together for the national chairman, Mr. Freddie Blay. The general secretary, Mr. John Boedu, is also with us here. And of course, all members of the National Council of the New Patriotic Party, which is the second highest decision-making body. Let's wave, let's wave, let's wave for all National Council members here seated. The senior minister is here with all ministers of states. Put your hands together for all ministers of state here present. The Honorable Chief of Staff, the one and only Madam Frema Osei Opari is also here. Of course, we have a few of our chief executives also in the house. Please put your hands together for all of them. The Majority Leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu, is seated with all the members of Parliament. Please put your hands together for all the members of Parliament. We have the Chairman of the Council of Elders of our party and all members of the Council of Elders of our party here present. Please put your hands together for all members of our Council of Elders of the party. The national officers, National Treasurer, First, Second Vice Chairman, Samia Uhu and all his organizers, please put your hands together for all of them. Osaberima Kwesi Atta II is the Omaihini of the Ogwa traditional area. A round of applause for Nana and his delegation. And of course, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Mahamoud Baumia. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader, distinguished, bold, courageous, selfless, you know what I mean. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is his name. Can we all rise? Choboy! This is the man. This is the man. Put your hands together once again and please be seated. At this stage, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I invite the General Secretary of the party for a brief address to usher us in while we're here. Put your hands together for the General Secretary, Mr. John Wedu.
National Chairman of our great party, Honorable Freddie Blay, Your Excellency, Mr. President, and 2020 flag bearer of our party, Your Excellency, the Vice President, and our running mates for election 2020 and spouse, ministers of state, and other government officials, our hard-working members of parliament, led by the majority leader, colleague national officers of our party, regional officers, constituencies and polling stations, reps of our external branches present here, our venerable chiefs, members of the clergy, members of the diplomatic corps are with us via Zoom, invited guests, the media, party sympathizers across the globe who have joined us through Zoom and other platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly bring you warm greetings from the National Secretariat of the party and in particular the National Executive Committee of the party. It is an honor and great privilege to welcome you all to this significant event on behalf of the leadership of our great party. We are grateful to the Almighty God for bringing us safely to the beautiful ancient city of Cape Coast to undertake all this important exercise in the life of our party, government, and nation. We also welcome the millions who are watching this live program in the comfort of their homes in Ghana. And of course, our party who will have been here in Cape Coast, but for the pandemic, and have converged at our regional offices and are able to join us thanks to the wonders of Zoom technology. Today is a great day in the life of our party and country. It is the day that the Ghanaian people have been looking forward to, It is the day my government, your government, and our government, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is coming to not only account for its leadership of this great nation in the past 3.5 years, but to also tell us the new direction and indeed the many good things we will have expected in our national life for the next 4 years and beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of our gathering here is simple and straightforward. We are here to witness the launch of the 2020 Manifesto of the governing New Patriotic Party. True to MPP tradition, this manifesto promises to be an embodiment of hope, progress, and prosperity for the Ghanaian people. We are here to witness, ladies and gentlemen, the unveiling of the document that will see to the consolidation of the gains made in the unprecedented national digitization agenda of this government. The gains made in the provision of the value for money infrastructure for all, not just for the big cities. The gains made in one district, one factory. The gains made in the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. The gains made in the eradication of the canker of unemployment through the Nation Builders Corps, the NEP, and the many YEA models, among other initiatives. The gains made in the stabilization of the Ghanaian economy. We are here to see the gains made in the restoration of training college allowances, the gains made in the restoration of teachers' training allowances, the gains made in Ghana's COVID fight, leading to the gradual return of normalcy, of which we are a toast of the whole world. The gains made in the successful implementation of the award-winning free SHS policy, which till date, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest social intervention program in the nation's educational sector since independence. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to witness the unveiling of the document that will give impetus to the socio-economic and structural transformation agenda of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the people's man and the visionary leader. More instructively, we are here to witness the unveiling of the document that will, inshallah, see to the inevitable renewal of the mandate of Nana Addo Dankwa Bawumia-led government on the 7th December 2020 for additional 4 years to continue the very many things the government has started and continue to do for the people of this country. The launching of our manifesto today, in fact, marks a significant milestone in our journey to another resounding victory on 7th of December, as it signals the completion of our preparation for the 2020 electioneering campaign. As we speak, the New Patriotic Party is the only political party in Ghana that has been able to successfully organize parliamentary primaries to elect its parliamentary candidates in 274 constituencies in the country. Of course, we are also the first political party in the country to complete our 2020 presidential ticket, following the acclamation and unveiling of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia on June 27, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to delivery on our manifesto promises, the Akufo-Addo government has no match. In just 3.5 years, we've been able to implement or are in the process of implementing all our flagship manifesto promises, notwithstanding the shattered economy we inherited from the John Mahama administration. So when it comes to the credibility of manifesto promises, the people of Ghana know that when we promise, we deliver. It is for this reason that there is an overwhelming show of interest in the exercise we are about to undertake today. We, more than any other political party, have the credibility of delivering on our promises, and we are committed to maintaining that credibility. Having achieved so much in this, our first term, the Ghanaian people should certainly expect that our second term manifesto, which we are launching today, will seek to consolidate the gains that we have made so far in the economic transformation of the Ghanaian society. The Ghanaian people should look forward to a manifesto that addresses their concerns and meets their legitimate expectations. And ultimately, we should all look forward to a manifesto that embodies the very spirit and aspiration of the Ghanaian people and delivers prosperity for all. It is worth pointing out that our opponents announced to the world some 2 or so months ago that their manifesto was ready and they've been presented to their party leadership, and yet they have still not been able to launch it for the people of this country to see what is in it. Obviously, they are waiting for us to launch our manifesto so they can copy our ideas as usual. Well, we have launched ours today, and they are free to copy since they lack ideas. We have no fears because, as has been shown over and over again, when you appropriate an idea or a project that you don't fully understand or believe in, you can never implement it properly. To conclude, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I want to seize this opportunity to, on behalf of the party, commend the 2020 Manifesto Committee, which was chaired by a hardworking, innovative, inspiring, and world-acclaimed running mate and Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for doing an exceptional work in putting this manifesto document together. The party is also thankful to the Manifesto Launch Planning Committee, led by Madam Oboshisai, for their illustrious efforts in organizing this manifesto launch. As we can all see, they have done a great job. Thank you, and may God bless us all. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The General Secretary deserves another round of applause. Leadership.
So that was the General Secretary of the MPP, John Boadu, giving his welcoming address as we continue to keep an eye on the launch of the MPP's 2020 election manifesto. There is more of that coming up, a lot more speeches. The President will be speaking, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be speaking. He's chair, I think, Honorable Mensa, of the Manifesto Committee or so, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes, the Vice President.
Yes, the Vice President. So he will also be speaking. But we're not done with the big issue. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll take wrapping up comments for Honorable Inusa and then Honorable Mercer on a couple of conversations, particularly this matter of the debate. Now we can get to the debate. The former president in the Volta region issued a plain challenge, a good old-fashioned challenge. Your record against my record. One platform, you stand there, you talk, defend your record. I stand there, I talk, I defend my record. That is what politics is about. Why are you running away?
Until such time that the debate becomes part of our political culture.
Is it not?
Hold on. Where people do not pick and choose when to debate and who to debate. Because in 2016, we live in this country. We saw the conditions that the NDC gave. And you are not here. So today he's calling for a debate. We live the debate. Why? Ghanaians don't know his track record. Why? You are not aware of Mr. Mohammed's track record. You are not aware.
What is his track record?
Oh, his track record is what we saw. We slept in darkness for 5 years. The problem of fuel, which we were told was as a result of damage to pipeline from Nigeria. There were alternative sources of fuel. But he looked the other way. We slept in darkness for 5 years. The alternative or the attempt to resolve it has created huge problems for us in the energy sector. Taking take or pay agreements in the power sector is his record. He cancelled allowances of trainee teachers and nurses. It's his record. Today, he says he would restore it. Or that because it's been restored, when he comes, he will continue. We heard what Franklin said. As far as he is concerned, it was a bold decision. If he was principled, he would have stuck to it. Okay?
So maybe a debate gives him the opportunity to explain that.
I'm saying to you that we are living it. The commitments that His Excellency the President made to the people of Ghana, those that he's been able to achieve in full, he has put out. Those that are ongoing, he's put out. Those that we haven't touched, we've put out. Our achievements or the things that we've done in the area of economy. And I'm glad Franklin put it aptly that the economy and governance is critical. And what it is that the MPP did between 2017 and 2020 before COVID is there for all to see. Their track record in the management of the economy, we know it. So, I don't know whether His Excellency the President would take the bait. I would not, if I were advising him, to take any such bait.
It is bait?
But is it not? Is it not?
Is it not a reasonable request
I'm saying
to make?
to you that if you pick and choose, then everybody is entitled to pick and choose. But I would never, from where I sit, endorse any debate that would seek to legitimize or give some credence to an already bad product that we all know. We lived through Mr. Muhammad's era, for crying out loud. The things that he did. So, please.
So for you, a debate is a no-no?
For me, it's neither here nor there. In 2016, there was no debate. The good people of Ghana assessed the message that both parties were putting out. They dwelt on their infrastructure achievement. The good people of this country saw that no, it wasn't enough. Your economic management was terrible. Your track record on corruption was terrible. And so they booted them out. Such lesson and the Danko Akufo-Addo's track record is clear. It is not, and you see, I'm glad my good friend started off by making the point when he came in at the very beginning that I do not have any association with Ijapa resources or royalties.
Messages had been going around that you were?
Yes, indeed. The minority chief whip, on the day of debate, himself stood up and sought to clarify whether, because the entity bears my name, Ijapa, a name that I do not own any intellectual property rights over, a name that is not unique to only me. I know a couple of people, who are called Ijapa as well. But of course, I'm a politician, so it's convenient. You may disagree with the structure of the transaction, but listen to the former president suggesting some wrongdoing. That's not what the good people of Ghana are going to base on. Because
is that what happens when you don't build consensus?
No, hold on. We live in a country where corruption perception, influences people's thoughts. So you hear them shout, PDS, PDS, PDS. Then one poses a question, but if PDS is a corrupt transaction, why is the American government, whose funds it was using to support our private sector participation program, saying that government of Ghana should continue, but the government of Ghana says no, I will not? But you hear them. You hear them shout, Ken Bond, go. They went to the Securities and Exchange Commission in America. To date, they haven't returned. It is not a perception. JIDA occurred in this country. SADA was a fact. Bars branding was not conjured. Woyome's payment, nobody created it in his room. These were matters that happened, that the good people of Ghana based on that to reject them. And so they cannot seek to raise issues unsubstantiated. Cash for seats. Ask him. When it came to the cracks of putting out the committee's report, they chickened out and went to write something that they refer to as minority report, unknown to the rules. Yeah, there are incidents of wrongdoing that has happened. You can cite the PPA and the other things, boss, that they make references to. But if you look at the track record of Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, that appeals into insignificance.
So no debate, no problem.
So I don't know whether, like I said, if I was the one who was advising the president,
you tell him.
It's a straight out no.
Okay, thank you very much.
You can have your own personal idiosyncrasies about corruption. But we know that by the Corruption Perception Index, no president has performed much worse. Not worse, but much worse than Nana Akufo-Addo.
I'm glad you use perception.
Well, that's what we're dealing with.
That's what it is.
Well, that's what we're dealing with. And so, if it is about corruption moved King Kong, but the Corruption Perception Index is Nana Akufo-Addo.
Because that is why you want to debate him.
Because you throw out accusations to inform.
He kept quiet when you were talking. Let him go on.
I told you that there is no, MPP cannot continue to fool all the people all the time. We are wide awake this time. In my report to Parliament on the Obiche-Belamte circle.
Which year is this?
2016.
Okay.
Look at the second phase.
Okay.
The second phase was $63 million. Consisted of a second bridge on that is the Keneshi Bridge and ramp, was $12 million. The road was dual carriage asphalt was $12 million. The road safety measures, traffic lights and street lights was $3 million. Storm drain was $16 million. Box culverts was $2 million. Design and supervision costs was $3 million. Utilities was $3 million. Connection market terminal and traffic management works was $1 million. Fiscal contingencies of 10% was $6,300,000. And that gave you $63 million.
Hold on.
Wait.
I want to ask something.
Please. Enormous respect for you.
Please.
Hold on.
I'll give you time.
I have enormous respect for you. But you sit here and produce an unsigned document.
I will give you.
What is the signature? You say your report.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move this House
I'll give you time
to adopt and approve a loan for a commercial facility of 17 million from.
Unbelievable. That's your debate.
Let me ask
That's
you
not debate. That's motion, moving a motion,
Your motion
for the
for-
approval for that. You were not in Parliament then.
I wasn't.
You
But
were
I'm
not-
saying that-
You were not in Parliament. Please don't argue. Mate, I don't want that.
But
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want this.
You
If you had a report.
No, please. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Go back to Parliament and
Let me read. Let me ask you something.
Please. I just finish and ask the question.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Finish. I have a question.
MPP, the cabinet
Honourable
memo
Minister, give him time.
submitted to Parliament on 19 for the same second phase. General items, €7,134,000. Roadworks, 30,274,381.2 thousand euro. Flyover, 49,502,144. Storm drain, 9,844,000. Rerouting of utilities and reconstruction of sidewalks and walks, 2 million. Landscaping.
This all OBHB.
This all OBHB. Second phase. Okay. Total is 87 million euro. 87. Now you don't have the Canadian market terminal. You don't have the in our cost. There was no general items. You know general items? Buying of cars, buying of many things unrelated to the contract. That's what we call general items. MPP are providing for general items 7 million euro. Apart from increasing the cost,
same agreement.
The same contract, the same agreement.
So
the
amendments,
same scope.
You are saying amendments have been made to the contract.
Same scope. And I'm saying that because we locked in the $35 million, they didn't change it.
The HSBC.
Yes, they didn't change that one. They couldn't touch it. 35 million. But what we didn't lock in $63 million. They changed it to 87 million euro.
Well,
87 million euro. And you talk of value for money.
No, but what is the scope of that 87 million?
Oh, I've just read it out to you.
So
I've just read it out to you.
In addition to the general
scope of works, cost breakdown. I've just read it up to you.
So what has been added to
phase one is cost breakdown. This phase one, bridge one, the graphic road, road works, road safety, box culverts, design provision, utility relocation, fiscal contingency.
So as you left it, how much has been added to it? As you left it,
35 million
extra in terms of cost.
$37 million in terms of cost.
But the scope has not changed.
The scope is as you left it. They've actually removed connection market terminal and traffic management works. It has actually been removed. And you say value for money.
Is he Godfred?
No.
I'll give you time. I'll give you time.
So you know why?
I'll give you time.
I need to nip it in the bud quickly.
I'll let you nip it in the bud. Don't worry.
We know why we want to debate. What we want to know, what has motivated, what has changed, what has led to an increase of 37 million in the execution of the second phase.
Final question.
Oh, my brother, I'm not talking about. Don't laugh. I'm not when you are talking. I don't interject you.
Don't worry.
Because I respect you.
Go on.
So please respect me.
Don't worry. He respects you a lot.
He doesn't.
Go on.
You want to know what has led to the addition of $37 million to the second phase. You want to know. You want to know why President Nana Akufo-Addo, as flag bearer, said that 78 ministers of state was too much. That one member of government in the 78 ministers of state was family and friends government. And when given an opportunity, he has increased the number.
But he has explained why he has a large pool of ministers. He says he has a lot of work to do.
Well, yeah. So you see, as lawyer, the fact that they never capped ministerial appointment can never, by any stretch of imagination and justification, be an invitation for abuse. You will want to know, for instance, why Nana Akufo-Addo, in 3.5 years, has appointed 11 Supreme Court judges to the Supreme Court, when the highest number of judges at the Supreme Court was 13.
But we had a huge number of judges going on retirement as well, did we not?
Well, you want to know, so let him explain, or you are explaining for him?
No, I say some of these things are matter of fact.
Are you explaining for him?
No, but some of these things are matter of fact.
Please, are you explaining for him?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Good. You will want to know what projects he said he's completed and what funds he used to complete those projects. You don't want to know. You don't want to know that. You want to know what has led to high project costs under his administration. Ghanaians want to know. Indeed, what John Dramani Mahama is calling for is what we do all the time, at least in our SRCs. Anytime that we are going to elect people to occupy positions, they debate among themselves. So we are given an opportunity to choose who we think we can trust. In this particular case, when Nana Akufo-Addo was opposition leader, he had no track record, not so. Mm-hmm. So what were you going to debate him on? He had gone to the market with promises, with his mouth. That's what he did. Today, those promises that he made, that got Ghanaians to believe in and gave him the mandate, are his record, not so. Mm-hmm. You don't want to debate him on that record? Because he now has a record. Before that, he didn't have a record. Before that, his public service was limited to his role as Attorney General and Foreign Minister. He had no executive authority. Before that, Bawumia's public service was limited to his role at the Bank of Ghana as Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, initially as a research officer and Deputy Governor, subsequently Deputy Governor. But now Bawumia is the Vice President of the country. So they now have a record.
And so there's a need for a debate.
Because they now have a record of performance. Why will you run away from your record? Why will you run away from your record? I mean, if you are proud of your record, you should be able to debate your record. Not so. John Dramani Mahama is proud of his record. And he expects Nana Akufo-Addo to be proud of his record as well. And that they should debate their record. I mean, if they debate their records, we can only be the better informed.
Okay.
To make good decisions, not so.
Okay.
And lastly, to be honest with you, I'm not poo-pooing toilets.
Oh, you have made that point.
No, and I'm going to reiterate that one.
Okay.
Obviously, if you put speed ramp on a busy street on the Medina Road is investment. It's an investment. The same thing like building the Tema interchange. It's also an investment. But I don't think that both will find space in the same document. I don't think so.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that building toilets is no investment. I wouldn't have built some myself.
Okay.
But I just think that we should be taken more seriously when investments are being spoken about.
All right. Thank you. I'll give Lawyer Mensah 2 minutes quickly.
See, sometimes
to correct what
sometimes you wonder whether the presentation from our friends suggests that everybody in this country has a short memory. Why? Nana Akufo-Addo was not president in 2016. He hadn't been a president before, and so he didn't have a track record for you to debate him. How about 2012? 2012, when the IEA organized the presidential debate, was President Akufo-Addo then president? Had he been president before? Had he been? Yet there was a debate.
You granted him the privilege.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And in 2016, you didn't?
We didn't think that you needed it.
Oh, really?
He merited
and now we think that you merit it.
Now we have
well,
the record.
Considering
No, if you think that
it's an election of records.
Let me deal with this. You 78 ministers.
Yes, quickly.
You paid them double. So in effect, you had more than 140 ministers of state. You paid them double.
Who paid them double?
For a matter of fact, why? Were they not paid double?
Where?
From the chief of staff office.
No, where?
These are matters of fact.
What is the record? What is the record?
Look, he said that what?
Well, propaganda
has appointed 11 Supreme Court judges. Why? If there is a vacancy in the Supreme Court, you don't expect it to be filled.
Paid ministers double.
Indeed, when you were in government, you recall, in 2016, President Obama had an opportunity several months before the election, but he knew he was a lame duck president, to appoint a Supreme Court judge. He did not. He waited for Donald Trump to come and do the appointment. After you lost an election, after you lost miserably, you were making appointments to key institutions in this country. You come and sit here and challenge somebody who has a right during the tenure of his office. You appointed the Menovo after you lost the election.
After you say a lawyer argue like a propagandist.
But that's exactly what you did here.
That is a
serious argument. You sat here and questioned the president.
When the tenure of presidency.
So why are you challenging the president's appointment to the Supreme Court?
Oh, I see.
Why are you raising an issue about it? I'm saying that the president has a right.
If this is the way you argue,
lost an election.
It's okay.
You have lost the confidence of the people of this country.
If this time this is the way you argue, I'll waste my time arguing with you.
And challenge somebody.
I'll waste my time arguing with you.
Appointing to the Supreme Court. What are we talking about?
If this is the way you argue, I'll waste my time arguing with you. I'll waste my time.
I'm saying to you,
Honorable Lusa, please be patient.
The NDC's track record is well known.
No debate.
We have lived it. Nana Akufo-Addo is well known. We are living it.
All right.
And so, as far as I'm concerned, if they didn't find it worthy, because, like Mr. Mahama said, have you been president before? Do you know what it takes to be a president? Such arrogance that he demonstrated when he was president. He didn't find it worthy to give his opponent an opportunity to debate him on this record. It shouldn't happen today, when the shoes have turned.
Okay.
Be consistent and principled.
Thank you very much, Honorable Andre Japamesa, Member of Parliament for Second Constituency. Thank you very much, Honorable Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, the Honorable Inusa Fuseni, and Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. It's been a mixed show today because we've been going back and forth from Cape Coast, but I hope you enjoyed it. We are going back to the Central region now for a full coverage of the MPP's Manifesto launch. Duke Menso Poku, Marisanda, Vivian Kai, Loco, Bernard Avle, and Nathan Kwao will be with you. Dabna Usunya Meche and Sixtus Don Ulo Fentuo, Tahiru Fentuo will also be manning the seats in Accra. See you next week.